I would like to present to you a citizen of the United States of America.
Thank you. Thank you so much. United States military members, taxpayers, welfare recipients, and other non-essential government employed workers. We are 239 years into this new country. For 218 of those years, our country has been at war. For 25 of those years, we have lived in peace, but only in 5 or less year time periods. The only time the U.S. went 5 years without war was 1935 to 1940, which was during the isolationist period of the Great Depression. But tonight, we peel back the veil. Our wars have touched the lives of people from all over the world because we yearn to instill our values of freedom on other societies. We spend more money on our military than China, Russia, Saudi Arabia, France, United Kingdom, India, and Germany combined. Our $610 billion in military spending versus their $601 billion combined. Yet, we know our government spends more than the documented $610 billion in off-books black project programs, deemed top secret and not for your eyes. As of 1996, our non-essential government workers cannot account for $8.5 trillion tax dollars doled out by Congress. This information was provided by an anonymous DoD employee to the news group Reuters. The sheer magnitude of money missing would make this the largest documented theft of money in the history of mankind, beating out the LIBOR scandal's mere $176 billion loss for investors. I might add that our current national debt is $18.4 trillion, half of which was created by one of our current federal employees, President Barack Hussein Obama. But this record theft may be obliterated by the banker bailout deal Obama issued in his first term, estimated to be roughly $16 trillion in transactions to foreign banks via the Federal Reserve. We will not be sure until a full audit of the Federal Reserve is conducted, which could be years down the road. Tonight, my fellow citizens, I ask you to name one employer on earth who takes orders from their employees. Name one employee who gives themselves a raise, even if their work record is dismal at best. Name one employee who has the power to ignore the wishes of the boss and do as they please. We are who we let govern us. We have let ourselves become the motionless and sedated patient of a ruthless and schizophrenic and paranoid caretaker. Citizens of our governments and citizens of other governments do not judge a country by what their people stand for, but by the actions of their government. As a citizen of the United States, we do not wish ill will towards foreign citizens. We do not wish to war with them. We do not wish to supply their enemies with finance and weapons. We do not wish low wages and or poverty on them. But how would they know that when our very own government created Al-Qaeda? How would they know that when our very own government has supplied ISIS and other terrorist organizations with military-grade weapons, training, and funding? How would they know that if our government and our President Obama supplied weapons and funding to Mexican drug cartels through the program Fast and Furious? How would they know that when our very own government has staged the coup and overthrow of numerous small countries in the world, which has led to the death of millions? How could any person outside the U.S. view the United States citizen as an innocent and unknowing bystander? So, I don't stand here today to make excuses for the citizens of the United States. There are those of us who are awake, but more and more awaken every day to the reality that we as citizens have been kept at bay and in the dark by the largest propaganda machine ever created in the history of the human race. Even more are awakening by the actions of Prime Minister Vladimir Putin, whose bombing of ISIS in Syria has set back ISIS more in 1 week than Obama's airstrikes of fake ISIS targets over the last 3 years. And now, Argentine President Cristina Fernández de Kirchner claimed during the United Nations General Assembly that a former Obama administration official attempted to convince Argentina to provide the Islamic Republic of Iran with nuclear fuel. Our forefathers, the sons and daughters of an imperial British Empire, shed their blood and their lives to break free from the tyranny, an empire where the sun could not possibly set. Now, 239 years later, the United States has become the empire, the bully in the room that knows best, the empire whose influence and military bases stretch around the globe. But today, it is a different game. There are no places left to run and to colonize. Your only options are to A. Immigrate to the U.S. and join the empire, B. Stay in your war-torn country or poverty-stricken country, conditions that were created by the empire, or C. Stay and fight a mountain. The biggest solution was that government employees worked for citizens, but actually worked for the large banks all along. I cannot tell you with 100% accuracy when this illusion started, but it is apparent that its roots go as far back as 1791, when Treasury Secretary Alexander Hamilton convinced Congress to establish the first bank of the United States, headquartered in Philadelphia. It was the largest corporation in the country and was dominated by big banking and money interests. Many agricultural-minded Americans were uncomfortable with this idea of a large and powerful bank and opposed it. When the bank's 20-year charter expired in 1811, Congress refused to renew it by one vote. But this banking parasite, it did not stop there. As stated by Woodrow Wilson, the 28th President of the United States, I am most unhappy. I have unwittingly ruined my country. A great industrial nation is controlled by its system of credit. Our system of credit is concentrated. The growth of the nation, therefore, and all our activities are in the hands of a few men. We have come to be one of the worst ruled, one of the most completely controlled and dominated governments in the civilized world. No longer a government by free opinion, no longer a government by conviction, and the vote of the majority, but a government by the opinion and duress of a small group of dominant men." End quote. By 1914, the Federal Reserve, which has a misleading name since it's not an official government entity, was printing worthless paper. Money whose only value was based off of belief. Over time, U.S. citizens were forced to trade in their gold at the lowest price possible for U.S. dollars. In addition, using gold or precious metals as currency was outlawed by the U.S. government. But the control did not stop there. Soon came the bank's biggest weapons, the radio and television. Through these outlets, banks and governments were able to condition, lie, and manipulate the thoughts and minds of citizens throughout the world. Why should we as citizens not question our caretakers? Why should we not believe what the media tells us? Today the term free press is as misleading as the name Federal Reserve. In 1983, all media outlets were owned by 50 companies. By 2011, all media outlets were owned by 6 companies. Those 6 companies are General Electric, News Corp, Disney, Viacom, Time Warner, and CBS. News Corp owns the top newspaper on 3 continents, America, Europe, and Australia. It's no secret any longer. The numerous commercials, ads, TV shows, and movies were concealing subliminal messages. It's no secret any longer that the media outlets were providing clues to future events, and it's no secret that the media supports hidden agendas. In a way, we should thank Conan O'Brien for making it obviously clear as to how scripted and controlled your local news stations are by showing his audience scripted news stories. We should also thank Jimmy Kimmel for showing how gullible viewers can be through all the scripted viral marketing campaigns he has created on his late-night talk show. It is blatantly clear that no one gave a damn about a rebel flag a few months ago until the media stopped. That is the power I am referring to. The powers of words and suggestions has kept billions in the dark for decades as to what is really going on in this world. My only advice to you is to turn off your televisions and seek alternative media sources while you still can. It is my feeling that the caretaker will put an end to this practice in the next several years. And it's already doing so by heavily censoring political topics on the internet, as proven by Prime Minister Angela Merkel of Germany's hot mic conversation with Mark Zuckerberg regarding the Syrian refugee crisis, a crisis staged and created by Barack Obama and his funded terrorist group ISIS. The Obama administration alone has purposely weakened our nation. They've weakened and isolated our allies. They've taken steps to strengthen our enemies and strengthen the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, a group classified as a terrorist organization by many industrialized countries in the world. His administration has created a refugee crisis in Central America and in Syria, has escalated racial hate in our nation, and is now using gun tragedy in the U.S. to politicize his agenda to remove guns from the citizens of the United States. But we have all seen what happened in Europe. They gave up their guns, and now they have a refugee crisis. Their crime rates are skyrocketing. Their governments are now placing limits on their once free speech, mostly in favor of Islam. To speak badly of Islam is a crime. So tonight, we've pulled back the veil, but we're not done pulling. The economy is in the worst state it has ever been. Our government, our Obama, tells us the stock market has doubled. Then again, so has our national debt. It is estimated that 94 million Americans are not working or have given up looking for work. In 2012, roughly one-fifth of the U.S. population, that's 52.2 million people, received some kind of public assistance every month. About 15% of the population was receiving Medicaid, and 13% were on food stamps. Just 1% were receiving cash benefits through temporary assistance for needy families or general assistance. We're $18.4 trillion in debt. We have approximately $96 trillion in liability debt. Our liability per taxpayer is $827,071. What does this mean, you ask? The state of the union is broke. That is what it means. If you're not concerned now, you should be. A storm is coming, but not a storm caused by crumbling economy, but a storm caused by the anger of billions who work for a system of slavery. Because if we pull back the veil far enough, we will see that we as citizens have been working for a fictional currency that has no value. The elite who do not work, the elite who govern this system of slavery, the elite who sail their $50 million yachts, who can simply print more money out of thin air when needed, will be exposed. And the final war will not be between countries. It will be between a police state that wishes to keep the illusion alive and a group of citizens who wish to remove the illusion of freedom. I can go one step further and totally remove the veil, but I fear many will not be able to stomach what they would see. The crazy, sadistic mad men and women who rule this world, who worship the occult, who practice human sacrifice, who enslave women and children for sexual abuse, the pedophiles and the murderers who are in positions of great power. Just in the U.S. alone, 790,000 people are reported missing every year. Our country houses more than 2.4 million people, which is larger than the population of some small countries. Our police shoot more people in a year than some countries shoot in 70 years. Our very own Food and Drug Administration has allowed toxic GMOs and toxic ingredients such as aspartame, bovine, and corn syrup to be placed in our foods. The rate of cancer has skyrocketed. Obesity has skyrocketed. And infertility continues to grow. Aspartame and bovine are outlawed in almost every industrial nation in the world except for the U.S. Our government has performed experiments using toxins and radiation on our very own populations, and has performed grotesque experiments on foreign populations spanning the last 60 years. Our government knowingly provided heroin to our troops in Vietnam. They created LSD and authorized hundreds of drug makers to unleash their hazardous medications upon the citizens of the United States, all in the name of money. Our government is, without a doubt, the largest drug dealer on the planet, but the caretaker has made a grave error. While they left us in our comatose state in bed, they left the curtain open just a little, just enough to see outside the dark-lit room, which is our prison, and get a glimpse of what is really going on. We pretend to take the caretaker's pill as we spit them out in the trash. And as the medication, the propaganda, the illusion wears off, more and more of us are awakening. Yes, indeed, the State of the Union, and the world for that matter, is poor indeed. But I have a feeling that is about to change. In the end, those who instigated this illusion will be brought to justice and succeed from humanity with extreme prejudice. But if we fail, we will be under a one-world religion, under a one-world government, under a one-world currency, and under a one-world language. Your culture will be irrelevant. Your individuality will be gone. You will work for your government and do as they please. You will spend, buy, and sell until your usefulness is over. Euthanization will be your cause of death, and no one but the elites will have the privilege to live beyond the established age limit. A quota for the number of boys born per year and girls born per year will be established. Anything over that quota will be terminated. No individual race will be allowed. You will be assigned to another race to propagate. This cycle will repeat for several generations until there is only one race. There will be no holidays. Inferior humans will not be tolerated and be cleansed from the gene pool. Thank you. Thank you so much. United States military members, taxpayers, welfare recipients, and other non-essential government employees, thank you for your time.